Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Laura with TheReallauraB. I am so excited to have you all here. We're going to start off, we're going to go over the list of documents, and then we're going to have a casual conversation using my Twitter posts and other people's posts and concentrate on the excerpts, because you're going to see there's over 6,600 pages. There's a lot. Deep dive here. And how deep do we want to go at this point? Because a lot of it is not new, believe it or not. If you've been following me for a long time, which a lot of people didn't start until the trial, I've been covering this case for 3 years. I've read every document that's been filed publicly. A lot of this has already been out there, a lot of it. So that's what we're going to be going today. I'm going to try and keep track of the comments so we can make this conversational too, not just I read and read and read like, you know, we do with the documents. This will be a little bit more free done. So just for my playback, let me do my intro. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Laura, also known as TheReallauraB from Twitter. I'm a researcher, truth seeker, and a new wave internet journalist. I'm not a lawyer, nor offering any legal advice. Join me on a journey to draw the curtain back to expose key news developments in the world of celebrity lawsuits and current events. Let's get started. Hey again, and yeah, I'm pretty good about starting on time, but I still want to say hello to everybody. I'm so glad to have my mods here. I really so appreciate you. I think that's Sunshine and Secret McSquirrel. I'm not sure who else is here. I have a lot of people though. That's great. Ohio. I saw UK. I know Scotland. I saw. I forget. I saw them all. Various places. This is awesome. This is awesome. I'm so glad you made it to a live, Elle. Yeah, I don't have a set schedule. In fact, I've got to find one. I got to find my niche with all these YouTubers now. There's so many of us. Bonjour from Cairns. Wow. Awesome. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of deep dives on the insurance. It's like a soap opera. I think it's a pretty interesting story. So I've got a couple out. They're listed in the playlist. And there are also things that you can listen to while you don't have to look at the screen so much. You can be walking around doing your chores and just listen to it and not really miss much. Follow the money. Yeah. Sweden, Germany. Yay. Mexico and Scotland. Nice. Nice. People are loading in right now, so I'll give them a chance. So we're going to, we're going to look at a lot of tweets because the tweets I put out have excerpts of the documents. And that's really what we're interested in today. Let's not go through a 995-page document, page by page, or other documents where there is, let me tell you, a lot of duplicates. Anytime someone files a motion for the judge, says, hey, remember you decided this, or remember I filed this, they have to attach it. Because they don't want the judge to go, remember I filed this, go look at that motion and look at that attachment and then come back and finish reading. No, it all has to be in there. So every time they're double dipping issues, they reattach stuff. So I kept seeing the same attachments over and over and over again. It just bogged up the documents page-wise, which is a pain. Canada, Quebec, nice. I am so happy to be able to help everybody. Ontario, Hollywood, nice. Germany, Italy. I'm Italian in London. Nice. South Africa. God, we got great coverage here. I love it. Let me start with a spreadsheet to give you an idea of what we were sent, because that's a different program. So I'll just start with that. Ooh, are you going to tell me if you can see that, or I'll zoom in? Yeah, it's a little bit different than I did with Andy today. It's going to be a little bit more specific. Can you see anything on that screen, or do I need to blow it up? No comments? It's fine. Okay, so what we've got is we've got the a lot of this is like disclosure of expert witnesses. We have the plaintiff's motion to compel an IME. That's Johnny against Amber. That was sealed. We have a reply memorandum regarding the supplemental plea and bar. That was just one page. That's probably from the UK confidential annex or from the UK filing. Defendants, number 4 here, defendant's motion to compel. This is when Amber tried to get Johnny to do an IME. Second notification for adjudicated facts. That's part of the UK annex and what was sealed. Defendant's opposition to having to do her IME was sealed. Anything that was part of this medical stuff is going to be sealed. Anytime it's mentioned anywhere in an attach or anything, that's what's going to make it sealed. Now, it could be that we saw a document and the attachment was sealed, but then the whole document ended up getting into this list again. Defendant's memorandum in support to compel. That's Johnny. 410 is an IME from Johnny. She got denied. She tried that twice, got denied. Exhibits to her supplemental plea and bar. Well, there's about 58 pages of them that have been put up, and a lot of that is the UK exhibits. Plaintiff's opposition to the motion to rule. Again, Johnny says, no, I'm not sitting for an IME. I don't need to. Second notification. This is again from the UK. Number 3 above. This is again from the UK. Look at all these documents. Look at the pages over here. They're going to be really start racking up. Motion to compel. These are the requests for production. We'll talk about that. We have interrogatories, which are questions, and you have to answer them. Here's my question. Write down your answer. We have requests for production, and lots of times those are going to be documents, emails, text, photos, all kinds of things that are some kind of an exhibit. And believe me, Elaine asked for, I think there were up to 20 on the last filing. 10th and 11th request, plaintiffs filing in support of it. We only saw hearing dates, so we didn't know what was in it. Defendant's emergency motion for a protective order to protect individuals attending the deposition. We have 23 pages of that document. We're only missing a couple pages. There's 100. What we're missing is the emails and stuff. But we saw this. This is all her big demand for when she gives her deposition, that Johnny has to make sure everybody's masked, everything has to be clean, security has to be there. She wanted the phone number of the police. So we saw that. It's just all the attachments we didn't see. So that might be an interesting separate video of just that. 257. We have documents, but some of the redactions are in there. I found they didn't unredact things. If it was redacted in the original, it's still redacted. So again, this is this is Amber wanting Johnny's devices, and the judge shot her down. Defendant's motion in support of the motion to compel responses to 14, 16, 17 requests for production. She's still at it here. We have about 207 pages of it. So I'm just showing you this, that a lot of this is not new stuff, at least the gist of it. We may not have seen all the attachments, but we saw some of these motions. Defendant's motion to compel plaintiff to produce original devices, right? We have 8 pages. It says 8 pages. I think the only thing is the memo only, still a redacted version. Plaintiff's opposition to defendant's motion to compel production of plaintiff's original devices and cloud backup and stuff. I don't know why that got redacted. Further forensic imaging. I think they were arguing. I think the idea is they didn't want the public to know too much about these photos, because remember, a lot of this gets sealed, not because it has confidential information like personal information. It's also sealed because they don't want the potential juror pool to see these on the public website. They don't want them to be prejudiced. Influenced and prejudiced. More of that. Imaging, motion to compel, interrogatories and questions. Anything about that medically related. It's 439 pages. Johnny would seal. Defendant's motions for sanctions. That was the precipate. All that is a date. Yeah, 1 page is just telling you what day we saw it, but we do know it was denied, and all the sanctions were denied at the end. Sanctions and cross-motion sanctions, we know they were denied. We know these were denied. Summary, the motion for summary judgment, we have about 18 pages of this that Amber filed. There's 199. Motions in limine. Defendant's motion in limine. I don't think there's 7 pages. I think there's, this was just the motion. Then we have the attachments or the memorandum. Yeah, the memorandum that goes with this is 995 pages. Plaintiff's list of exhibits. We saw this. Johnny put it in under seal because it talked about having the IME report, which we knew was for Amber. There's about 4 things on there referencing Amber and that was sealed. How did we see it? When Elaine filed to oppose some of the exhibits, she attached it unsealed. So we already saw it. Plaintiff's designation of opposing expert witnesses. Again, that's to keep things prejudicial from the jury. And a lot of them were psychiatrists. Plaintiff's opposition to her limines, 231 pages. Limine is something I don't want admissible. I don't want the jury to hear. It's too prejudicial. It's hearsay. You know, it has no probative value. It doesn't help in the defamation claim, or doesn't help in the counterclaim, which is also defamation. 965 pages of defendants' opposition to their motion. So we have the 231 pages here for 1 to 27. And now Amber's opposing Johnny's for another 965 pages. Plaintiff's objections and counter designations of deposition designations, 965 pages. Well, this was quick to read. All this was an Excel spreadsheet of line number, page number, objections. It has no context for us. 965 pages of no context. There's no way to have known that. Corrected designations. Again, nothing. Don't have that. Plaintiff supplemental designations for depositions. We saw lanes, the defendants were put up, but these, again, it's just an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't hold much for us. Rebuttal designations. Memorandum in support to question defendant on prior acts of violence. That was an important one that she wanted to bring in about a car accident, or more specifically about Tasya. And we know it was, we didn't hear it. It was declined until part of it was brought up that they could bring in Beverly Leonard, the police officer, but the way they talked about her was like she was practically a baggage handler. I mean, they limited it to her security in the baggage area. They really underplayed the fact that she had police authority to arrest. Motion to seal records about the juror, the jurors' identities. Defendant's motion to exclude testimony of Brian Neumeister, and that was a big back and forth, and they filed for sanctions on that, and that was about the photos. But if you look at the date, this was filed May 25th, right before the trial. We have a bench memorandum for medical treatment. This is filed July 7th. What this is Amber filing after the trial, which she's preserving for appeal. Hey, they wouldn't let in any of these psychological notes in, and that's where we're going to see those. And then a motion on July 7th to exclude Brian Neumeister's testimony. Well, we know he testified, but this was filed July 7th, so they're obviously preserving that for appeal. So now I can get back and see what you guys are doing, because that one took up my whole screen in order to read. So, hey, everyone, thanks so much. Ooh, and it just popped on Salt Storm. I so appreciate you. Oh, coming in here twice for me. Thank you. That's so generous of you. Can't wait to watch this when I'm off. Oh, you can't stick around? Okay, I understand. Yep. So I was just going over the general list of the documents and letting people come in, take a little while. Yeah, I appreciate if you can like and share. Hopefully, we've got a few people coming in now. Was there anything showing anything on the secret fight club Amber brought up in some of the audio? It's driving me crazy. What she did was laid out to Johnny in that audio. Nobody's going to believe you. I mean, are they going to believe that I was in some secret fight club, that I got all these bruises? I mean, she went on and on, or I used makeup, or I mean, she basically laid out her plan. Defendants' motions for sanctions. Yeah, in the end, nobody got sanctioned. In the beginning, we had a couple sanctions for depositions. And we had a couple sanctions in California. Hi from the UK. I don't think I missed anything. I don't have anything showing up in my top bar. A lot of hellos. Okay, so let's see what we've got. I've got this new system, which makes it a little bit easier now to bop around. All right, so this is the order. Is that a new one? Hey, I can't wait. You're off too. I think that was an old one. Okay, so this was one of the last orders we got. Might have to go a little bit smaller. There you go. This is one of the last orders we got, and this was the unsealing of the documents, which Elaine protested. She wanted things to stay sealed. She was quite upset about that. Hello. And this was the hearing. This is Court Judge A saying, we typically do the judgment orders, and the court's going, she's trying to move everything off. And anybody have any objections? Benshu says, no. She's all right. We can do this. And Braderhoff is like, wonderful. You know, she's wanting to get some last words in. And she goes, Braderhoff says, we'll look at that and we'll answer that no later than next Friday when we file post-trial motions. Judge A is like, fine, you know, on seals. They want a motion on the seal items. She goes, that's fine. And when you appeal, you can talk about the suspension bond too. Okay, well, that was about the suspension bond. Elaine wanted to maintain, I guess I missed that one. She wanted to maintain a suspension bond. She wanted to maintain the docs to be sealed. She didn't understand they weren't going to be sealed. And they argued over it, and it ended up that the judge agreed to unseal a lot of documents, but also maintained certain documents to be sealed. And obviously Elaine fought for that. And if you go down to this bottom part, these documents remain sealed. Every single one of these documents benefit Amber Heard. There's 22 of them. So when you're out there hearing about what Johnny wanted to hide in sealed documents, this is what you have to understand. The court ordered documents to be sealed so as not to prejudice the potential jury pool, and also not to put out private information, contact information, medical information. So the court ordered these things to be sealed, not Johnny. But in the end, they also have the option to mark things confidential. They call them redlining them. Elaine did that a lot. Johnny did that a lot when it contained mostly Amber Heard's information or Johnny's financial information, things like that. Elaine had a very bad habit of filing for motions to compel and attaching those documents unredacted, unredlined, unsealed. We saw a lot of Johnny's financial items months, I think back in 2019, because she attached it to motion. So even though it was sealed, we had already seen them. Amber Heard at one point said in an interrogatory, she had a whole copious list of prescription medicine and wanted to know if Johnny took any of those or how he reacted on any of those. So she was the one who put that list together that got leaked. We'll look at that. But just so you understand that when you hear these negative streams, tweet threads against Johnny, he wasn't trying to keep things sealed. And you'll see here, sadly, Benshu did not file to have anything sealed. And he should have. He should have. Because one of the first things on here contains sensitive personal medical information. Now, we saw how many pages. There's 6,600 pages. Within that is a couple paragraphs, and maybe Ben or his team forgot. But they should have filed to seal a couple things. But Amber Heard, I believe, or Elaine, took advantage of sealing things because of personal contact information, for example, which could have been redacted. So she got entire documents sealed and maintained under seal only because it had personal identifying contact information, which could have been redacted. Could have been redacted. This is important. These 4th, 9th, 12th requests for production, I mean, this is a lot of production that she maintained to be sealed because it had some personal contact information. Now, I find this interesting because the other thing she did is she attached interrogatories to Johnny that said, hey, I need contact for all your possible witnesses. And she exposed all the contact information, the addresses, the phone numbers, the emails, because she attached it to her motion. So she used this to hide things, personal contact information. Yes, of course it should be hidden, but it could have been redacted. So there are 22 documents, but besides the juror information that Amber Heard was able to maintain under seal because of contact information that could have been redacted or personal medical information. I think that sucks. I think that sucks for Johnny. $700 seems to be making work. I don't know. Let's see what we got. A couple questions before I move on. Elaine. Oh my God, yes. I love when Emily does that. She has a new sound machine now that she can do this with. Why didn't Amber's phone get turned over JD has time. Yeah, there's a lot going on with this turning over the devices. Everything came so late. It was supposed to be done November 8th. It became very, very late. And then poor Neumeister was swamped with other work. I mean, he started getting this stuff in March, which was only a month before trial. Tens of thousands of photographs and that didn't even have any Amber in them or didn't have anything to do with the case. So he got delayed. There was a lot of back and forth. There was technical difficulties. They were using the wrong software. And apparently the judge just decided, you know what, you guys work it out. And I was so sad. There was no sanctions. It was just work it out, figure it out. And we saw the testimony. So they're lying when they say photos were not found to have been edited. Photos were shown to have been edited. The identical photos looking two different ways, identical, hair in the same place. So that's misinformation and lies. Lawyers can't teach. I can't believe I'm not a lawyer. No, I'm not a lawyer. I'm the researcher. I just read everything and I ask a lot of questions. Yeah, blackmail. She basically admitted to it in the audio clip. Well, I felt that her demand letter was, I'm going to accuse you of abuse unless you give me and my friends to live in $3 million condos downtown. Please don't give them anything. Elaine was upset about everything. And I got to tell you, after a while, Ben just was losing his stuff with Elaine. I mean, she just was getting crazy. I mean, he just was getting so upset. Okay, I'm going to move forward because if I don't, I'm afraid that we will run way over time. I'm trying to keep these to 2 hours. So this one is, I had a contact at the courthouse. They sent me an email. This is how we arranged to get the court documents. They became unsealed July 13th. She found out there was 6,642 pages, charging us 50 cents, and the total amount was 3,321. So you know where that figure came from. They were going to try and work with portions for us, but it would have been better if that somebody had to go into the courthouse file room to pick and choose what we wanted. So we ended up having to send a certified check. And you know, Andrea Burkhardt stepped up and did that and put the link out. And some people have asked me this, and I didn't control it, but money came in so fast that we surpassed the 3,300 like within a half hour. And then more money kept coming in. And some people said, well, and then she donated. I mean, we ended up with $10,000 and she donated like 7,000. And people said, well, why didn't you turn the money back to people? Well, how do you choose who to give money back to? Because it came in so fast. I mean, I don't think she could have figured out who to reimburse and who not to reimburse at that rate. So I think she made a fair decision on her. You know, I mean, she made this decision on her own. She set it up and she donated the money. And I thought that was fair. Yeah, so apparently that's what the pictures are showing. And I'm surprised. I really thought even Amber were done, but that's what the claim is. That's what the claim is. What did I see? Was the house conveniently bought, legal fees covering, you know, just in case of losing? Was the house conveniently bought? No, I think the house was bought because her parents were getting older and she wanted to move them. They wanted to live in California, and I think they were going to live in that house. So she bought the house. When you buy a house, you get homeowners insurance. I'm telling you, this woman has 9 lives. She just does. Yeah, they're going to have to go over that for perjury. So that's how we got the documents, just so you know the process. Andrea then took them and she made a website and put them all up. Take a look at some of these documents. September 21, that's the year, September 2021. So a lot of these are somewhat older, 22. So these are in date form. And why is that important? And this is what frustrates me with the media. These motions have been out for a long time. Obviously, when these were filed, they were for the benefit of the filer. Elaine would bring a motion to help her client. When a motion is brought, the other side gets to respond. And that's where we find out more of the conversation. I claim this, I allege this, because that's what motions are. And the opposing side said, wait, you're off base here. You forgot about this. You didn't count this. You misled us on this. And unfortunately, what the mainstream media right now is pulling are just the motions filed by Amber. And they're not bothering to look for the responses by Ben because they're not under seal. Or they will be in the limites in the motions for limine, but they're not looking for them. They're just taking at face value Amber Heard's and Elaine Bradelhoff's filings, which I think really stinks. I also find it interesting that nothing was sealed before 2021, because that doesn't seem right to me. So do you understand how that works? That motions are allegations and shade. Oh, another thing about motions, and I found this with TMG, motions are protected speech. You can pretty much put anything in there you want, which you're supposed to be able to prove when you make claims, and smear somebody's reputation like TMG did. And Johnny can't sue for defamation because it's protected speech, legal speech. For example, when TMG filed their counterclaim against Johnny, it had all kinds of crap in there, blaming about his drinking, drugs, his behavior, all of that. And the judge threw out over 85 paragraphs out of that claim that were completely irrelevant to what their original counterclaim was intended for. So that's why I think it's really sad that the mainstream media is only picking one side of this argument, but they know they can't be sued for defamation because all of this is protected speech, whether it's true or not. Can the tax department look into her lies about donations? Well, only if she claimed a tax deduction on it. She didn't claim a tax. Remember, she demanded that money tax-free. So she was already not paying taxes on it. Johnny paid the taxes. And that's what Ed White pointed out. Because why do you want this tax-free if you're donating it? That doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Johnny's personal medical information was leaked a long time ago and was not presumed to be true. She just listed a whole bunch of prescriptions and asked if you took any of these. She submitted the whole list. That's what they're finding in these documents. And that's what, at the time, Ben Shue opposed, saying, hey, this is none of your business. This isn't part of any of these that may or may not exist. And I'll show you a snippet of that. I'll show you a snippet of that. But that was unfair to be leaked, and I'm not going to keep passing it on. The other thing is, when you look at any of those things, they're prescribed for multiple diagnoses, not just one. So everyone jumps on the most salacious, but they cover other things. All right. So I think you got the idea for this document. So let's start going through some of the Twitter. Amber Heard put her medical state, her PTSD, and other mental issues on the table when she insisted on submitting Dr. Hughes' expert opinion as evidence. So that's what happened with that one. That's how Johnny was able to get the IME granted, because she said, I'm bringing in an expert witness that's going to say, Johnny caused me to suffer PTSD. And as soon as she found that expert witness, and then Johnny's team was able to say, whoa, if you're claiming PTSD, that I caused you, that I get to test you with my own doctor. And that's how Dr. Curry was able to come in. So that's how it happened. It took place November 1st, November 5th. It was at Brown Rudnick's office. They spelled out how much time it was going to take each day, how much of a lunch break and how much of an other break she would get. It shall consist of one-on-one examination and clinical interview between Dr. Curry and Ms. Heard to include appropriate testing as determined by Dr. Curry based on her training, experience, and expertise. The scope of Dr. Curry's IME shall be Ms. Heard's current mental condition and her mental condition during and preceding relevant events and timeframes at issue in Mr. Depp's complaint and Ms. Heard's answer and counterclaim. When Ms. Heard answered this, she put in, say, by the way, here's all the incidents that happened to me. And that was the first time we saw the 12. Dr. Curry's evaluation of Ms. Heard will utilize the same tests that were administered by Ms. Heard's expert, Dr. Hughes, which we found out she did not administer them correctly, and she didn't score them correctly. She didn't fill out the form, didn't follow the directions. With the caveat that any instruments which are identified as processing poor retest reliability and results that test is taken again or validity concerns shall be substituted for measures. All right. Dr. Curry's evaluation shall assess, this isn't very clear. God, whoever scanned these documents need to clean the glass on their scanner. Dr. Curry's evaluation shall assess all domains that were focus of the prior examination by Dr. Hughes, personality profile, PTSD, IPV, coping and adjustment, psychopathy, limited to and not limited to assessment of mood and anxiety disorder, validity, malingering, and any other mental conditions identified by Dr. Curry, which we know she identified borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. She'll file her paperwork within 30 days. And the defendant shall produce raw data collected by Dr. Hughes' examination of Ms. Heard by October 11th. So that's what the court ordered, because she put her PTSD as a cause by Johnny Depp. So you got that? Yeah, I think it was fair. I'm over the moon. I'm over the moon that Andrea donated the money. I want to make sure it was about Andrea. Yes, thank you. I mean, can you imagine? It all came in so fast. I don't see how she could have reimbursed anyway. I think she did the right thing. Thank you. Thank you. She donated the money, unlike Amber. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Watching, we never had the benefit of seeing the holistic courtroom dynamics and reactions. Yeah, the only thing you guys could not see is the gallery and obviously the jury. That's what was important. You couldn't see the jury. They had to keep them hidden. What's up next? This is disgusting. I think this is one of the most important things that came out of this to help me understand better the UK judgment. That judge was off his rocker. He refused any audio tapes that proved that Amber Heard instigated physical fights because they were out of court statements. But he let in the little snippet that Amber provided, because that's what she did, the part about the headbutting. And he said, oh, but I'm going to let that in. Now, remember, Johnny claimed the headbutt was an accident. I accidentally bumped heads. And in the rest of that audio, if the judge heard it, which he would have ignored it anyway, he said, it wasn't in your nose, it was in your forehead. And Amber says, I know. I don't think you realized you did it. I don't think you intended to. So it's exactly what Johnny said. It was an accidental bump. But this is what we have to talk about. And it came out in the Virginia trial anyway. And that was that she had claimed 3 SA assaults, plural, against Johnny. Hicksville, Australia, and Bahamas in the UK. And they got to go to a room, and they were in there, I heard, about 15 minutes to give testimony. And then the judge had to rule on that. And this is his ruling for Hicksville. In a confidential annex in her first statement made on December 15, 2019. So this is the first time she's ever making this claim. She's never made it publicly. She's never made it in the Virginia files. Never. Heard said that there were a number of incidents of sexual violence over the course of her relationship with Mr. Depp. She says that it's extremely upsetting and difficult to revisit these matters. She refers specifically to one aspect of Incident 8 in Australia. See below. She does not specifically refer to the sexual aspect of Incident 3. She does. And then there's one in the Bahamas. Now, keep in mind, this article was wife beater. There was no reason. If she was uncomfortable bringing these up, she never had to. Remember, she was not compelled to testify. She volunteered to testify. So nobody forced her. NGN could have filed to try and compel her, but the article was not about SA. There was no reason for her to feel like she had to suddenly come out with this, and that's why a lot of us felt she was making it up, which the jury also did not believe. Okay, so there was a confidential schedule to her third witness statement on February 26, 2020. Ms. Heard says that she's been asked to address an incident in Hicksville. As part of my reply evidence in this witness statement, she did say that as part of the Hicksville incident, the cavity search took place. She said in paragraph 3 of this schedule, I now understand this to be a form of SA. Over the years, Johnny forcefully penetrated me like this on several occasions to assert himself, demonstrate his power over me, and to attempt to dominate and shame me. This was the first time I remember it happening. So we're suddenly getting this new memory coming out. It is notable that this evidence from Ms. Heard did not emerge until February 2020. And that as part of her reply evidence, I also find it hard to believe that Ms. Heard did not at the time appreciate that this was a form of SA. I also note that Ms. Sexton did not say that Ms. Heard reported to her that she had been SA'd at Hicksville because Sexton was there. This is the more striking, given A, that Ms. Sexton had been present at Hicksville, and B, that Ms. Sexton was a confidant of Ms. Heard and a person to whom Ms. Heard did report another SA in Australia. I conclude that the defendants have not shown that Mr. Depp SA'd Ms. Heard in Hicksville by subjecting her to a forceful and painful cavity search. This is this guy. He's saying she lied. The Judge Nichols is on the record saying she lied. So he refused to hear the audio tapes where she said she initiated physical force. I'm getting so wrapped up in this. He said she lied about this SA. He knew about Doggygate. Doesn't matter if she lied. It might cause another incident, but doesn't go to her credibility. And the same with the letter for the Homeland Security. He found she lied multiple times, and especially on an SA. And yet he still found that he believed her in Australia. It makes no sense. So let's look in Australia. Let me see if I have any comments here. I know this is upsetting. This is really upsetting. So Nichols goes on to say, remember, Sexton played an important role in Hicksville that you didn't tell Sexton, so I don't believe it happened. Mr. Depp, this is important. Now, this is about Australia. Mr. Depp, in the confidential annex to his trial statement, repeats his denial of this occurrence in Australia. He notes that Miss Heard claimed it happened on the night of March 8th, but says that would be impossible since he was in the hospital already from the cut finger. So she didn't file this until like February 2020, right before. This is the first time she came out with this, and she got the date wrong. She could have easily looked at the date and see what happened back then. Oh yeah, Johnny was in the hospital. She made it up. Johnny could not have done this because he was in the hospital. Miss Sexton was not there, as she was in Hicksville, but this time Miss Sexton was asked if she knew about the sexual aspect of Heard's allegation was false. Miss Sexton said that she believed them to be true. When Miss Heard related them to her, she was crying. She was speaking in chopped sentences. Miss Sexton had no reason to believe the allegations were false. This was in 2019, right before Sexton gave her deposition. Right before she gave her deposition, Amber said, hey, come over to my house. I haven't seen you in a while. Let's hang out. And oh, by the way, let me tell you some of the things Johnny did to me. And Nichols is believing this testimony, but not the fact that Sexton was with her in Hicksville and she said nothing. Incident number 8. Mr. Depp is right that Miss Heard is wrong about the date of the incident. It could not have happened on March 8th because by then he was in the hospital being treated for his severed finger. However, her error in the detail does not cause me to disbelieve the account of her assault. I'm sorry. I'm just blown away. I think that was one of the biggest things that came out for me in this case. Yeah, seriously, you can't make this shit up. But she did, and they believed her. How we doing over here? You're welcome. Yeah, maybe. But see, if you donate money, you've got to have those receipts for the IRS. You can't just say you donated it. There might be a threshold without receipts, though. But I don't think $7 million over 10 years is going to be way beyond the threshold. Oh, yeah, I can't believe that either. How many people are still involved in the mainstream media? JD's been open about his demons. Meanwhile, she's perfect and has never done a thing wrong. Yeah. It's everybody else. Would love to have been able to watch Dr. Curry with Heard on her assessment. Yeah. It was nice watching her in the courtroom. She's very, very smart lady. Everybody was happy that she donated. That was good. Hughes didn't need to follow the format of test. She was doing it by telepathy. Hughes and Elaine too emotionally invested. Yeah. I thought it was interesting that Dr. Hughes first met with Heard in 2019 before the UK trial. And that in meeting her for this PTSD, I think this SA discussion started, and Amber just decided to jump on it, learn from Dr. Hughes what to claim, and then went and claimed it in the UK. That's my opinion. This is what Johnny said. Let me see. If I open, oops, no, it's too big. A little bit big, people. This is Johnny is part of his deposition. We only have snippets, but they asked him, what do you expect to gain from coming to court? Somewhere I've still lost, you understand, because I will carry this with me, baggage, the baggage of it, the accusations, whether I win or whether I'm deemed some kind of horrible creature that should be locked in a jail cell or in a tomb, or whether I'm king of the universe, I've lost. And we're seeing that. He won the trial. She was proven to lie, and the mainstream media is still dragging him. I've already lost by the damage done. So my continuing my search for the truth, my continuing to demand the truth is not for me to win, but it's for the people out there, the women, the victims of this type of thing who are not believed, who are being lied to by your client, pretending to be some new messiah of the women's movement. She's a fraud. Anything else? So if I can help other people by continuing, I certainly will now. And that's Johnny. She's a fraud. And this is exactly the problem we're facing in the mainstream media, because they're still pushing this believe women narrative. And he's like, look, stop believing her. She was proven to lie. But even here in his deposition, she is a fraud. Move on, people. Okay, so here we have so-called text. Okay, so there's an issue that people are raising online that Johnny Depp somehow lost Stephen's text. Any text communication between Amber Heard and Stephen Deuters on May 24th or May 25th, despite having previously imaged Mr. Deuters' phone, Mr. Depp was unable to locate a series of texts between Ms. Heard and Mr. Deuters following the Boston plane incident that Ms. Heard had produced. Strangely, the texts produced by Ms. Heard are in a different format than all of the other texts she produced. The veracity of these text messages is critical and subject to serious question. What you are seeing in the mainstream media is complaining about Ben saying that he could not find those texts on Johnny's phone or in his iCloud. And I'll read that to you in a minute. They're not going to be on Johnny's devices. They weren't sent between him and Amber and Stephen. Stephen and Amber sent them together. Amber should have been able to provide them. And when she did, they were in a way different format than all her other texts. It was up to her to work through Stephen Deuters, and he never gave testimony. So that was pretty much the end of those. That's not on Johnny. How are we doing over here? San Francisco audio that came up, it was headbutt. He called her on it. What he said is, no, he knocked heads with her. She kept saying, you headbutted me. He said, no, I didn't headbutt you in the nose. Headbutted you in the forehead. And she goes, I know, I don't think you meant to do it. I don't think you realized you did. It was definitely an accidental head knock. I don't know. Incompetent, crooked. He was just biased as hell. He was just refusing to, he just didn't like Johnny being with this younger woman. He didn't like Johnny for using drugs and alcohol. And he just decided Johnny's a bad person and I'm not going to find for him no matter what. Here's what's interesting. She claimed she didn't know what it was. When she testified in the USA after her break, I didn't know what kind of bottle it was until I saw the photo. And then I realized it was the square bottle. She realized it was a Jack Daniel's bottle. However, when Dr. Hughes testified, she said that Amber told her it was a Jack Daniel's bottle. So Amber can't keep her story straight. She's making things up to Dr. Hughes and she doesn't remember that she's done that. And that I think what happened is when she saw the picture, that's when she remembered, oh my God, I told Dr. Hughes it was this kind of bottle. Yeah. Yeah. Emily read back and forth emails between Ben and Elaine. Apparently, Amber was afraid of COVID, but she wasn't afraid in 2020. Yeah. That was insane the demands she was putting on them. And nobody put the address out. None of us knew where this was going to be taken. Just other than maybe California. Yeah. I'm just checking to see if I need to update anything because I don't want to lose the conversation. Since every claim H has made has been acts that she has perpetrated, it makes me wonder who she essayed. Or who she, yeah. Acting coach that said she has trouble crying. She can't make tears. She can cry, but she can't produce tears. I still look at this. If there was a connection, well, first of all, the son was working for, he gave commentary on a radio station as an independent contractor. He wasn't paid by the radio station, so they don't have that direct connection. And I would hope that Schillings would bring this up. I just think it's a very close community in the UK. Even Black Belt Barrister says that there were discrepancies, and it's shocking. Certain evidence was not allowed to be submitted by Depp's team. Oh, yeah, 100%. H lied. She's embarrassed. From the Cassie Couch video, maybe. Amber Lindsay, thank you for all your hard work you're putting on Twitter and YouTube, and you're incredible. And that is for $10, and I thank you, and I will try and find it in this comment section, because while I was reading, sometimes they get buried. But I want to verbally thank you, and I will try and find, there it is. Thank you so very much. I very much appreciate the super chats. Big help, big help. Yes, I think she was heavily involved in the UK feminist, whether it's Me Too or something else. But just because she felt that way, the judge is supposed to feel his own way. Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing a Twitter unroll, but when you have to understand, when I'm reading and putting this out, it was really hard to keep going. And I think threads can only be so long, but that might be a good idea. Let's see where else. Dr. Anderson, this is important. Ben Chu lays out that Dr. Anderson's, the marriage counselor, disapproved Amber Heard ex parte TRO petition because she said Amber tried to change the rules. Earlier this week, we had the deposition of Dr. Anderson. Dr. Anderson was the couples therapist. I don't know why I said that twice. Dr. Anderson testified that she disapproved of Amber Heard's ex parte TRO petition in Los Angeles because she said Amber tried to change the rules. Now, a fair summary of Dr. Anderson's testimony was, which I defended and then took this in response to questioning by Ms. Braderhoff's partner, Adam Nadelhoff. Dr. Anderson said that Amber admitted that she initiated violence, that when she would try to bait Mr. Depp, he would go to see his friends because he actually had friends. And to stop him from doing that, she would insult him, and then she would slap him or try and stop him. And he would constantly retreat. But this contradicts Ms. Heard's testimony that she didn't initiate violence. She's a liar, Your Honor. And this is their couples therapist. The couples therapist, she, also Ms. Heard, admitted to slapping Mr. Depp, throwing a can at him, and being proud of initiating violence. That's what Dr. Anderson said. So, Your Honor, for her to say these things when she knows they're false and she knows that her client has testified falsely, I thought that was a big takeaway. So Dr. Anderson testified that Johnny could never speak at the sessions, that Amber overspoke to him. He just got quiet. Sometimes he left. She had several sessions alone with Amber. At one point, she thought it was mutual abuse, but then she backpedaled toward the end and said, I don't think abuse was ever discussed when Johnny was present. And that's important. And she continued to talk to Johnny into July. So yeah, she was very much against getting the TRO. And I think that's an important point. Yeah, she was supposed to be all cut up, her arms and legs and feet, and she was stomping around in shoes. Keeps moving the goalposts. I think his friends did try to warn him. Yeah, I think, Felicity, it's hard. You love who you love. Your heart wants what it wants. And friends were afraid that, if he pushed too hard, he's going to choose his girl. I mean, how many times that happened in your own family? I know with my daughter dated someone I didn't like. The more I might push them not to see each other, the more she wanted to see them. And that's just the way it works. All right, what else have we got? So Braderhoff complained about Juror 15 and the lack of questioning at voir dire. If you remember, she said, I couldn't raise the issue because I was limited to the questions we were allowed to ask. It was predetermined. But she was the one who did bring it up in a hearing. She thought, she was afraid that it would take too long. Ms. Braderhoff, Your Honor, on that voir dire, just thinking it through, and I know we can talk later. Oops. Judge says, okay, what? But it seems to me that if we try to do taking them individually, this might draw things out. Take a long time. Yes, pretty extensively. So the court said, I mean, we could take them at tens, but we can take them, however, but the only issue I have is sometimes if these cases are lengthy cases like this, if somebody hears one excuse, somebody else might try to join that excuse. But the uniqueness of this case might be different. So on one hand, Elaine was complaining we didn't have time to answer questions, ask proper questions of these jurors, the one that she knew was not 70 I'm talking about. But here it was her by her own request to group jurors by tens and not and then contain their voir dire time. So that was on her. Okay, we have the order. Johnny Depp did not ask for the court to be televised. All right. So this is the court, the judge. All right. So I just set this hearing just to hear what your positions are in this matter, just because I have received quite a few different requests to have a pool camera. So I just want to know where the positions of the parties are. They gave them a week to each file. And let's see if I can find that quickly. Probably not. Yes. So this was posted. Amber Heard requested to testify to her SA allegations on camera in Virginia. This is what Elaine filed. March 9th email, she wanted all opposing evidence from Johnny Depp to be restricted from camera, non-public. Mr. Chu's reply March 10th, she wanted the claim public so long as Depp couldn't find it. So I found that very interesting. This was Elaine's email saying, this is from Elaine, testimony with respect to the underlying facts relating to the SA allegations, including R and SA, as well as any arguments about the specific testimony, not the fact of the allegations, but the underlying facts should be included in the filming. So she wanted Amber to testify to everything on filming, and we could ask to close the courtroom for the testimony. So she wanted all this information to come out on film, but then take away the details part of it so that the mainstream media could run with it, and then also not allow Johnny to testify on camera. From Ben, Mr. Depp opposes certain of your restrictions as to the former. Mr. Depp strongly objects, for example, to Ms. Heard's proposed number 5, which is a classic case of Ms. Heard wanting to have her cake and eat it too. We believe that Ms. Heard's our allegations are outrageous and false and physically impossible, since one allegedly occurred after Ms. Heard had severed the tip of his finger and had broken with a broken vodka bottle, and as to which Ms. Heard's testimony shifted directly as to the timing. And even the court in the UK dismisses one of them out of hand. That's Hicksville. Ms. Heard is proposing that the cameras capture the fact of her scandalous allegations, which her counsel has improperly leaked to the press in violation of the stipulated amended protective order, but omit the patently false facts, which would show that how absurd her claims are. This is neither fair nor appropriate. So, wow, Elaine claiming that she didn't want cameras when she actually wanted to take advantage of the cameras to spread misinformation to the media and not have Johnny be able to testify, hey, this didn't happen. Not fair. Not fair at all. So now we see how disingenuous Elaine is quite often. Quite often. We're doing good for time. Adam Wanlon was very clear in his understanding the audio tapes that Amber was admitting to terrible violent acts, that she admitted to lying. They're talking about serious topics, and her responses is not sarcasm. She is bullying him. So that's what they said. They said, you leaked these tapes. And they're asking Adam, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Okay. What is your characterization having listened to the tape? Adam says, I think it would be the characterization of anyone who listened to it. I think it was how the world characterized it, that she was abusing Johnny. Let's go to tape 2. See what time frame was. When was tape 1 recorded? I don't know. I wasn't there for the recording. Okay. But is there anything that would have, did you look at any of the metadata? Any dates? He goes, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know what date it was recorded. Okay, let's talk about what was the subject matter of tape 2. Again, making sure that hoping that I don't have the two conflated, the two tapes. The second tape was the tape was made a bit later. I don't know precisely when, but it seemed to be sometime after Miss Heard had filed for divorce. And the second tape, among other things, taunted Johnny and said, nobody's going to believe you are an abuse victim because you're a man. And there is a judge and a jury, and they'll see how big you are. And, you know, they won't believe you. It's Miss Heard giving Mr. Depp PR advice at times. And that's one piece of it right there. Nobody's going to believe you. She is saying that the public would not believe that she had been sort of planning this out. She called it, I think, a secret fight club, that she had been planning it out for years. And so it's a kind of very taunting oriented tape. She professes to having lots of evidence. I think she says at one point, it's the most evidence anyone has ever assembled in a DV case. And so that's the sort of, you know, general context of the second tape. So you characterize that as taunting. But are you able to recognize sarcasm? And Adam says, do I recognize sarcasm? He goes, yeah, I think I do. Do you know whether you can? Yeah, I think I'm able to recognize sarcasm. Did you listen to the full content of the tape? Because many times. And it's not, you know, you don't pull from that there's sarcasm in there with Miss Heard. And Adam goes, no, I don't think I would call it sarcasm about such a serious topic. She's confessing to violent attacks on him. He's suggesting that two of them go talk to somebody who works for them. So how's that? That's what she was trying to pull, that it was just sarcastic. And I think she said they were just trying to placate. I think Adam is waiting for Australia to do something. And I do believe he wants JD to win his appeal. Of course he does. It's his comment. I'm sure he feels terrible that this has happened. Tug brought the dirt. Uh-oh. Is everybody on? To a certain extent, also the fit to image he had for the character she was playing in the movie they made together. It was one of JD's favorite books. Well, Rum Diary was the one I think you're talking about. Wait until Elaine was to give the money back to the insurers. I don't know what's going to happen with that. That's an interesting case to follow. I don't know if the insurers will have to give the money back. They may not have to pay out the judgment, which was only $1 million on one and $500,000 on the others. Hope you do a deep dive on the new pics and info of JD and Age getting off the plane in Australia, being put out by the Law Patrol. It's very interesting. I'll have to take a look at it. I think subconsciously Johnny recognized Amber was like his mother and he was trying to redeem her. Yeah, I think so. He said he was trying to fix her as proof he loved her. It's weird. Amber was a second chance in a weird way. Yeah, and then he realized after his mom died that he was never going to be able to change her, that this is not the life he wanted. So there is a synopsis here of all the motions in limine or inadmissibility in a nutshell. And that's in the documents. They did do a nice page. Okay. Okay, so this is more about the tweets, about Stephen's tweets. Mr. Depp also claims text messages between Miss Heard and Stephen Deuters, Mr. Depp's assistants, were somehow fake. That's not what he said. Well, they said that they're not in the same format as everything else. That's suspicious. Incredibly, Mr. Deuters was instructed not to answer a question about information other than what he learned from his attorneys respecting the text at issue. Question, other than anything you have learned from your attorneys or communications you've had with your attorneys, you have no basis to believe that these text messages were doctored in any way. Same question, same objection. Mr. Deuters, are you refusing to answer the question on the basis of your attorney's instructions? Well, of course, you always do. On the basis of the attorney-client privilege, yes, he is. You're not the witness. I asked him the question. He's refusing. It's that simple. Mr. Depp has throughout used and continues to use the attorney-client privilege as a shield to prevent discovery and relevant communications with Mr. Waldman and Mr. Deuters. As a result, Mr. Depp should be precluded from referencing, introducing evidence or testimony, or mentioning at all any topic for which Mr. Depp has objected and refused to provide either the discovery or permitting the answer to any deposition question on the basis of client-attorney privilege. And we know the judge ruled no, but he's allowed to rely on attorney-client privilege. So that was a no-brainer. There's a long transcript about them recounting arguments from the bathroom and staying late with Isaac. Johnny was exhausted from travel and he just wanted to shower, and Amber invited Rocky and Josh over for dinner. So I think this is when they got back from Rio, and he was just exhausted because he had been traveling and he hadn't showered. And this is just the important parts, I think. Let's talk about, you said Rocky and Josh are going to come over, right? And have dinner, unless you don't want them to or whatever. And I said, no, that's fine. It's cool. I just really want to get a shower because I haven't showered. I haven't showered since before the gig because, we had to leave when we had to get to the airport. And Hurt is going, yes. So by the time we got in the shower, it was very rude of you to have, I think she's saying, take a shower when people were coming. I'm sorry to leave a party and didn't shower. I'm sorry. I can't. I'm sorry. It's really rude of me. Really terrible. Do we really have to talk about this? You just did. Hurt says, when you made that little dig about the shower, that little thing you did, that little dig about the shower, because oh my God, listen to her. Depp, I'm explaining why I wanted to shower. Okay, right. Yeah. Is that all right with you? Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Thanks, Buzz. Nice. So then about 2 seconds later, Rocky knocks on the door and I go get the wine. I open the wine, hang out. You guys eat your cheese and stuff. And I want to go to the shower. So I say, hey, I'm going up to the shower, and bang, food arrives. So I said, eat without me. So that was the fight before the bathroom. So when they did the gig in Rio with the Hollywood Vampires, and they did the hearing aids, Amber was there for photos, but she knew she had a screen test for Mirror. If she knew she had an important screen test, she shouldn't have gone, but she knew about the hearing aid charity and she wanted the PR. Let's face it, that's why she went. So she went off on Johnny, making her claiming he was hanging out with friends and making her late for the plane, and the plane late for her to get to her audition. Johnny says the luggage was taken care of. The truck did not show up. It's Brazil. The truck hadn't shown up for the luggage. It was 2 hours late or something. So you thought it was Nathan's fault, Amber. I did not think it was Nathan's fault. I did not think it was Nathan's fault. I didn't know whose fault it was. Well, who would you think? I had no idea. That was my point. Everybody knew that there was this plan that was her to get back for her audition, and that was important to me. It wasn't obviously important to you. It was important to me. Johnny says, it obviously wasn't important to me. Yeah, like it wasn't part of your life. Why then would I have been why would I be doing that? No, I didn't mean it wasn't important to you emotionally. I meant that it wasn't about your life. It was important to me in my life. That's all I meant. I wasn't saying anything about you. You're talking to them. No, I'm saying it was. No, I said exactly what I meant. It wasn't like a priority in your life. It wasn't your screen test. It was mine. That's all I meant. Right. But I made it my priority by getting everything together to make sure that we could leave on time. Yeah. So we could leave when you wanted to leave. You said you wanted to play it by ear and you did not want to commit to leaving at I had to commit. I had to commit to a plane. I had to commit to Nathan doesn't choose that. I choose that. The truck was late. By the time we got everything loaded, we split. It took us nearly as long to get to the airport. It didn't take us nearly as long to the airport as we expected, about 25 minutes maybe. And we were there 15 minutes after we were scheduled to have been there. Then we went through customs where they nearly took every stitch of clothing off everybody. And then we got on the plane, and then Brazilian airspace was closed. They frickin' military stopped it for that 2.5 hours that we sat on the tarmac. Because I was there. I know all about that. Right. So it's not my fault. I didn't say it was your fault, but I'm glad we're going over everything that happened that night. Do you think that it's weird do you think it's normal? I don't know, that couples fight about the same thing over and over again. Johnny never had a chance. He never had a chance with this woman. This is what we heard, right? In various things, that he made her late for her audition. It was all his fault. And now we finally have the true facts of what happened. We finally have the true facts. Thank you so much, Annie. God, you're awesome, wonderful, and I so appreciate the support. I really do. We doing okay with this thing so far? Thank you, Rachel. I'm trying to get it all together here. I'm still a bit of a zombie because I've read all day Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday, and I did the video Monday that was reading. Like my poor eyes feel like they're going to bug out. Yeah, I need to have a guy read for Johnny's part. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Elaine isn't coming. Oh, when she questions Bloom. Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's see what else we got. I heard you swear on yesterday's stream. I was all for it. You're still a saint in my eyes, no matter what spicy language you use. Oh yeah, it was a little too close. It was a little too close. Thank you for the super chat. It was a little too close to me reading stuff, and then the mainstream media was putting stuff out that was just absolutely wrong. I was a little spicy. Oh, this is going to be important and difficult to read. But Jennifer Howe states Whitney told her Amber had cut Johnny's finger over the bottle. Also said that Amber almost pushed Whitney down the stairs, but Johnny's security blocked her. That was a statement. They're sitting in Jennifer's office. She knows she can explain. She was right there in the black and white chair. She gets a message and she jumps up and exclaims, "Oh my God, she's done it now. She's chopped his finger off." I'm not going to read it. It's impossible to read now. Another time, Jennifer Howe says that Amber Heard was so drunk that she could barely stand on the red carpet of the heaven at Art of Elysium's 11th annual gala. But it's all about Johnny's drinking. Warner Brothers had no interest to continue with AH as Mir. There were creative concerns with continuing to cast her. The concerns had nothing to do with Johnny Depp's claims of litigation. This is simply no basis for Amber Heard's claims, and that's important. That was a big one. And they were trying to stop it. Elaine wanted to stop Johnny from deposing Warner Brothers. They wanted an agreement that they said, you know what? We won't ask for damages for Aquaman, okay? Well, we won't ask for damages. We'll just leave that out. Well, Amber had been fired, as far as we know, when she made her counterclaim. And then she apparently got it back. But she was fired because they didn't want her. It was creative issues. They didn't want to use her again. And somehow she got her job back. So they really couldn't claim those damages anymore. So they didn't want all this coming out to the jury that, by the way, this wasn't Johnny's fault. They didn't care what Johnny claimed. They didn't care about the defamation. They didn't care about Adam's statements. They only cared that she wasn't working well. She wasn't working well at all. And we still doing good? Read slower and deeper for Johnny. Oh, God, we'll be here all day if I read at his pace. Just an FYI, there was a lot of depositions that didn't get done at the end. There was witnesses that, especially for Amber's side, that never showed up. We never heard anything about them, and we were wondering why. And we've come to find out that this is from Johnny's side. Hey, you asked for a courtesy that Ms. Heard's counsel has not extended to us on multiple occasions. Many of our requests to confirm the forthcoming deposition schedule have gone unanswered until the 11th hour. Literally, we can confirm that Christian Carino's deposition is going forward. Tassia Van Ray, Adir Albergel, and David Heard are not. So they couldn't get Tassia to give a deposition. Adir Albergel was the hair guy from the Night of the Corden show, where she's supposed to have all those ripped out clumps. And of course, her dad, I don't think they ever got the subpoena to him. Lauren Shapiro's deposition is not proceeding today. Please confirm by close of business today whether the following deposition subpoenas Mr. Depp served on counsel are proceeding on dates of those subpoenas. So they're still trying to get these done. Thank you for your anticipated timely cooperation. Can you please confirm whether Lauren Shapiro's deposition is going forward? Remember, she's the one who supposedly called 911. We have not yet received the Zoom link for her deposition. And if it's going forward, please circulate the link to our team. The day before they give them the Zoom links, they're not giving Zoom links because they're dropping the ball at the last minute and going, yeah, we're not going to do those depositions. Now, why would they not want to do depositions for Tassia, her dad, the hair guy, and Lauren Shapiro, all people who are in Amber's camp? Why would they not want to go forward with those? Because they don't want Ben Chu or Camille asking her friends questions that are obviously not going to support her anymore. So at the last minute, literally, This is in March of 2022. March of 2022, these depositions were not going forward because of Amber Heard's side. This is his list of motions in limine. Are we getting there? All right, so then we come into the nudes, and let's understand what this is, all right? We had these requests for productions, documents, and what Amber Heard's team did said, we want every communication between you and Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, and every communication. So they sent them over. And what did they find? They found the text messages that Amber Heard sent Johnny, which included those photos and the audio and the video. That's how they discovered them. So Elaine gets all up in arms like, oh my God, they're going to use these against Amber. And he's like, wait, we have no intention of using them, but they came out of discovery. That's the process that we have to follow. However, since Amber Heard keeps changing her story all the time and trials are very fluid, if Amber sits up there and suddenly comes up with this new assault or incident on a day that these pictures can show she has no injuries, then maybe we'll use them. 2, Whitney's and Enrique's past romantic relations prior to 2011. I don't know why they wanted to use her prior to 2011. I don't know. She was dating a guy who was friends with Jennifer Howe, who Whitney also told her about the staircase incident. Miss Heard's stint as, again, that came off the audio. That's how that came out, through discovery or rumors about her as whatever. But it came out of exhibits. It came out of an audio that was put in, but it's not cited in any exhibits by Mr. Depp's exhibit list because he didn't intend to use them. But he has a right as globally to say, everything we've discovered, I have a right to maintain. And that's how she cherry picked these things to make him look bad. I have a right globally to keep anything that I can use in rebuttal if it helps. And these just happen to be in this global claim. Heard's attempt to use his frivolous lawsuit, that's what she called it, claiming continuation of abuse by Johnny, belies the fact that she in fact sued him first via arbitration for merely stating in an article that he did not abuse that woman. Not so frivolous now anymore, is it? The central narrative in Miss Heard's case is that she's an innocent victim who was first abused by Mr. Depp during the parties' relationship and then relentlessly hounded in the courts for heroically daring to stand up against abuse. See, for instance, Miss Heard's opposition to Mr. Depp's recent motion for summary judgment, in which Miss Heard's opening paragraph consists of an angry rant against Mr. Depp for purportedly abusing Miss Heard in all types of ways and arguing that because Mr. Depp was not satisfied to simply allow Miss Heard to move on with her life. When did she move on? She was talking about him all the time. He filed this frivolous lawsuit. See, too, Miss Heard's pending counterclaim in this action. So she's counterclaimed. If you wanted to get on with your life, then don't sue. In which she similarly alleges that Mr. Depp was not satisfied simply to allow Miss Heard to move on with her life. Instead, he continued to victimize her. This frivolous lawsuit Mr. Depp has filed against Miss Heard continues to abuse and harass. Miss Heard has made it very clear that she intends to characterize implicitly and explicitly this entire case as an extension of her alleged abuse by Mr. Depp. Indeed, Miss Heard specifically alleges in her counterclaim that this lawsuit is the linchpin in the scheme to destroy Miss Heard's career. And the jury found she lied. And part of this bitter obsession with destroying Miss Heard. In filing this case, Mr. Depp gives this 4-year-old drama new legs and another opportunity to remain relevant. Mr. Depp is entitled to challenge that narrative at trial, particularly, this is Ben talking now, particularly that the narrative is not supported by the evidence and in fact is directly controverted by the very evidence that Ms. Heard asked to exclude in this motion. In reality, despite her efforts to portray herself as an innocent victim, merely trying to move on with her life and being pursued by her abuser in the courts, it was Ms. Heard, not Mr. Depp, who fired the first shot in this legal battle. Indeed, Ms. Heard commenced an arbitration in 2018 seeking damages for alleged defamation by Mr. Depp as a result of certain of Mr. Depp's alleged statements, simply denying having committed abuse. And she was going to sue him for defamation. Depp successfully moved to dismiss that arbitration purely on the grounds, and this is what a lot of people ask me, that there was no enforceable agreement between the parties to arbitrate. And that's why he was able to bring this defamation case to court. There was no adjudication on the merits, and Mr. Depp has no intention of arguing otherwise. But what is significant is that Miss Heard, supposedly an innocent abuse victim who merely wanted to move on with her life, was the one who actually commenced legal action and renewed the parties' dispute. Whether that is consistent with Ms. Heard's characterization of herself and Mr. Depp is a legitimate area of inquiry at trial. I don't think that was allowed to come out. So that's that. But both sides, I mean, I think she did try and come up and says he won't leave me alone, right? You won't leave me alone. Everything is for Amber. Johnny has his own career. It's a relationship. It's about us and them. Yeah, God forbid, right? Any others? I haven't one. I'm going to find it. There you are. Ooh. Okay, M4A now. I have a theory that JD has a soft spot for Whitney, knowing that she's been the doormat for Amber this whole life. He did. He most definitely did, compared to the relative short time for Johnny, and instructed his lawyers not to go too hard on her out of sympathy. I don't know if he did that, but I think going forward through their whole relationship, yeah, they very much had a sister relationship, sister brother, and he cared for her and knew what she was going through. And but I don't think I don't think he stopped them from cross-examining her. I think he let him go. He was done. Did you see Whitney scouring at him the entire time through the trial? She just sat there giving him his death stare. All right. I hope I'm not missing too many questions. I'm sure I am. Unfortunately, Depp was unable to raise Heard's sued by Nicola Six re her sabotaging London Fields. This could have proved studios might not want to work with her. That could have been another reason why of our damages. But she did sneak in a claim re an email she asked JD to send to support her. As for Nicola Six lawsuit, that involved a lawsuit against Miss Heard by producers of one of her films, accusing her of sabotaging and campaigning against the release of her own film and violating her contract. Given that Miss Heard is claiming damages to her employability as a result, Mr. Depp's alleged conduct, public allegations that she sabotaged her own film, which could possibly have an effect on studios' eagerness to hire her, and her reputation for professionalism are potentially relevant and should not be the subject of an in limine ruling. The court should reserve judgment until at least the issue arises at trial. So, yes, studios might not want to work with her because she was the one who did this. Let's see. Do I have it? And I do. Amber claimed in the trial, so she did bring this up, that Depp was interfering with her work on London Fields when, in fact, she asked him to send the email and she asked others to support her as well. She then recounted a specific incident, and this is in the trial, in which Depp sent her an angry chain of emails regarding Heard's new scenes in London Fields with screenshots of the exchange shown in court. And this is from the actual lawsuit on May 17th, 18th, all these. Heard, Thompson, Depp, Sturgis each sent coordinated letters to Nicola Six and Chris Henley criticizing and disparaging the producer's cut and effectively advising that they wouldn't support it. She asked Johnny, among these other people, to send letters to them. She asked him to do it, and then she went against him in court over it. That sucked. She used it against him after he was trying to help his wife. Amber testified in court, in case you remember, she testified in court that it is not right for any woman or man to hit anyone. She said that. She sat in the stand. She goes, no, it's wrong. It's wrong for a man to hit a woman. It's wrong for a woman to hit a man. She said it. And as soon as she said that, that's how we were able to get the testimony in of Seattle. It was limited. It was very limited, but she knew right. She knew she shouldn't be able to do it, no matter how it was, and they were able to get it in. She also abused her sister, but they would not let her get the video in. We never saw that. And she also hit Raquel. So that did come in. Let's check over here. How we doing? We doing good, guys? All right. I know it's a lot more to cover than we thought. Well, it was a lot of pages. Oh, I'm at the top. Yay. Let's see what else I have. All right, so here's this for her part. Heard reportedly included, she included in a document all these drugs, which Depp's attorneys interpreted as a sign that Heard clearly intends to take this trial down a number of unnecessary, salacious rabbit holes, including and especially with respect to Mr. Depp's medical history. That's what she was doing to Johnny. That's an excerpt there. We talked about this already. So Amber finally admitted the flight in Australia with Johnny Depp was about the prenuptial agreement. Remember, she's saying it wasn't about that. It wasn't about that. And it was absolutely about that. I didn't get Bloom. I've lost Bloom. You would agree with me, Ms. Heard, that you did argue in Australia about a prenup. It was part of it. It was only part of it. This should have come up. They attempted to force Gina Juders to testify while she's a UK resident, and they couldn't accept service for her. So they finally, in the end, Gina says, fine, I'll testify you. But instead, Gina voluntarily offered to depose, and Amber did not attempt to do so. So we go on to the trial. What happens? Gina testifies, and they panic because they don't know what she's going to say, and they find a way to disqualify her. And that's how that happened. They did not actually depose Gina. Again, noticing depositions and refusing to take them, and then trying to prevent Depp's witnesses from testifying at trial. Travis McGivern, the motion, they gave his address, they did everything. He was to proceed on March 10th. Accordingly, Mr. Depp served a cross notion of deposition so they can both talk to him. Even after receiving Mr. Depp's cross notion, Ms. Heard did not reach out to indicate that she had any difficulty in serving Mr. McGivern. They were able to get him to testify. Ms. Heard's counsel in the final weeks of discovery adopted the position that they would refuse to inform Mr. Depp whether depositions noticed by Ms. Heard were actually going forward. As a result of that unusual tactic by Ms. Heard's attorneys, Mr. Depp could never be certain whether a particular deposition was going forward until his counsel received a Zoom link the day before. Because Ms. Heard's attorneys refused to give the professional courtesy of providing such information, Mr. Depp's counsel reached out to third parties to obtain a current telephone number. So that's how he was able to get McGivern in. Mr. Depp had cross notice, and Ms. Heard's counsel refused, preferring to try to exclude Mr. McGivern by the motion. So it sounds like they did not depose McGivern, and he was able to get in. McGivern was literally made available for deposition on the date noticed by Ms. Heard. Ms. Heard refused to proceed. Moreover, Ms. Heard was in possession of contact information. The bottom line is this: Ms. Heard had contact information from McGivern for many months. She had the opportunity to depose him, and she refused to do so, preferring to try to exclude testimony rather than explore in discovery. This is gamemanship, pure and simple. The last thing Amber wanted was McGivern to take the stand. Likewise, she did the same thing with Keenan Wyatt, almost exactly the same way, tried to block his testimony. All right, and the same thing here. Io claimed that Lauren Shapiro was the caller of the 911. We all hope to hear from her, but sadly, not only was she never deposed, but Heard never told Depp team the deposition was not going forward, and they didn't receive the Zoom link on time. She did the same thing to prevent Brandon Patterson from testifying that he saw a fake punch video with his own eyes. She was trying to say it was hearsay. There is no hearsay involved in this. He saw Whitney fake punch Amber Heard and supposed victim of recent facial injury, the hoax. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Let me have a sip and check in with you guys. I really think he has so much empathy for her position. He just didn't want to hear her tear her down even more, even if she had helped him at her expense. I think you're talking still about Whitney. October, November, the 3-judge panel may schedule opening arguments. We will see what happens. They could deny the appeal on its face, or if taken up, it could take up to 2 years. Yeah, so this is the appeal you're talking about. We're waiting for all the transcripts to get submitted from Fairfax. I think it's in Richmond. Then both sides will have to brief. And then the judges, however they schedule it, will decide if they're even going to hear it. It could take 1 to 2 years. Yeah, prenup. Hard to say she doesn't care about money. Yeah, she fought everything to not get a prenup before she got married and not to get the postnup. That was the argument in Australia, the postnup. You're doing great. I think Amber did this all to herself. I need a mod happy to help. Oh, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I got some cool ones going right for me right now. Call her bottom feeder. I'm just shocked to see them together. I really thought they were done. I thought, April 14th, she was back in LA. April 15th was when the hearing was to kick her out because of what she did to Gina. So I was shocked. So here's some interesting ones. Dr. Collins never testified. She's a medical pathologist. And what she was going to testify was to the various incidents, and you'll probably figure them out, the kinds of injuries she should have sustained. Based on the description of violence, we would expect to see swelling and contusions of the face, as well as lacerations and incised wounds to the face secondary to strike, which allegedly resulted on blood on the wall. So this is when he would have punched her with all his rings. The skin would have been broken. Facial scarring could have resulted from such a strike due to the blunt force trauma combined with sharp force injuries. From the rings, Dr. Collins is not aware of any facial scarring to Miss Hurt. There was no lacerations, no broken skin. The facial injuries depicted in the photographs provided are not consistent with Miss Hurt's description of the alleged abuse. Dr. Collins would expect to see facial trauma to have resulted in contused black eye with swelling. With such abuse, Dr. Collins would expect bruising to the area, struck, kicked, or bruising and or bruises to the face. By pulling the hair, traumatic alopecia could result. Kicking could cause broken ribs and contusions over the body. None of these depicted in the photos provided. Yeah, if her hair was pulled out by the roots, why wasn't the hair the same length? Well, I mean, it was only like this big and her hair is long. I think she just took it out of her brush. From the sharp force injury, Dr. Collins would expect incisions, and this is going to be Australia, of the feet and arms. No pictures are provided of the alleged fresh cuts to Miss Hurt's body. However, pictures of scars are provided. It's difficult to ascertain from the pictures if these scars were injuries when these injuries occurred. These scars could also be caused by self-inflicted wounds. After 3 days of extreme acts of physical violence, as described by Miss Hurt, Dr. Collins would expect to see severe injuries in various parts of the body. Dr. Collins would expect injury to lips and nose and possibly a broken nose. Dr. Collins would expect neck contusions from manual strangulation. None of these are depicted in photographs that were provided. She didn't take any pictures, remember? Based on her description of violence, Dr. Collins would expect to see bilateral paratorbital contusions, black eyes. So this would be the Corden show. A damaged nose secondary to its being broken, a split, contused, and swollen lip secondary to blunt force trauma, and contusions over her body. Dr. Collins would expect to see forearm bruising secondary to defense wounds. Dr. Collins would expect to see signs of traumatic alopecia and documentation of all these findings in the medical record. I guess he pulled her hair on another time. Further, Dr. Collins has reviewed the footage and relevant photographs of Miss Hurt on the Late Late Show, James Corden. And of note, there is a photograph where Miss Hurt opened her mouth very widely, which is inconsistent with her description of the injuries to her face, including a split lip and a broken nose. Indeed, had Miss Hurt sustained the injuries as she described them, opening her mouth that wide would have been painful and would likely have restarted active bleeding of the lip. Yeah. We know. This is good. This is from May 21st. Based on Miss Hurt's allegations of abuse, Dr. Collins would have expected to see swelling, a black eye, and potentially a broken nose. However, the photographs submitted do not reflect these injuries. Photographs of Miss Hurt depict non-specific redness and what appears to be acne. Based on Miss Hurt's description of the abuse, Dr. Collins would expect more swelling and contusions in the area of Miss Hurt's eye and nose, which are not reflected in these photographs, taken 6 days after the alleged abuse. This is when she went to get the TRO. She's saying, "This looks like a zit." Oh, we hanging in there, guys? Super sticker for Marianne. Thank you so much. Hopefully I'll find it. There you are. Thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate it. I really do. Are you guys hanging in there? It's hard to comment and chat. Face it, with the rings Johnny wore, she would need plastic surgery for sure. I mean, his rings are sculpted rings. They're not just like a round thing. They're sculpted. Well, the Indian faces and the skeletons. Johnny states in his deposition that at least 20 to 25 times he tried to leave the penthouse and she would come after them. They were only married 18 and a half months or 18 months. And okay, they were together a couple of years, but 20 to 25 times I have left her and gone to Sweetser to get away from her. This is when they were living in the penthouses. For what period of time would you have typically stay at Sweetser when you left? He goes, typically, there was nothing typical, so I can't say. I mean, if I would leave, well, I'd left her in the middle of the night before when she went nuts and made it home. Everything was fine. And within 5 minutes, she's in the parking lot, having driven over in her pajamas, and she's crying and she's screaming out for me to come out of the house. She's a cuckoo. Oh, this is a good one. So apparently she had a lot of GYNs, gynecologists, doctors. Did you tell anyone else about the alleged essay in Australia other than your attorneys and Ms. Sexton? I told doctors. What doctors? I told, obviously, Bonnie Jacobs. I don't recall if I told Amy Banks. I don't remember if I told Dr. Banks at some point after. I told every gynecologist I visited. Who's your gynecologist now? I just started going to a new one. I don't remember her name. I'm not sure we could find it. She just started going to a new one. She can't find the name. I don't know it off the top of my head. Well, who was your gynecologist before this one? Well, I've had a couple. I was actually, just using my fertility doctor effectively as my gynecologist. Well, who's your fertility doctor? Dr. Carolyn Alexander. And you told her. I don't know if I told her. I mean, I just remember I started making it a habit to start telling doctors that I was in that situation with. I told another doctor in the UK that I saw as a gynecologist, but I can't remember their name. I told, I've seen a few, but I'm sure we can get those names to you. I'm hoping this is Camille. Yeah, I think we're going to need every name of every doctor you've told about this sexual assault in Australia. Okay, of course. Did we see any doctors? Any medical doctors at all testify? No. So Amber Heard claimed in Hicksville that Johnny got very angry when she got too close with a woman, and Johnny went over and grabbed her arm and said, you know how much torque it would take for me to break this arm right now? Break your wrist? But that's not what Rocky saw. I think there was Kelly and Amber were hugging on a chair out by the fire. He came out of nowhere and said that, I think that Amber and Johnny came out of nowhere and said, get off my woman. He said, I think that Amber and Johnny went back to the trailer after that. Okay. A little bit more specific. Get off my woman. What did you personally observe? That's it. How did Amber react to his behavior? Was she embarrassed? I wouldn't call her embarrassed. Did she seem angry at Johnny? No. Did you hear Amber say anything to Mr. Depp? I don't remember saying anything. This is Rocky, her best friend. Did you hear Amber Heard raise her voice when speaking to Mr. Depp? No. This is at Hicksville. What, if anything, do you remember about Amber's reaction to Mr. Depp's behavior? She was just trying to comfort him because she knew she was wrong. She was climbing all over that woman. They were high and drunk. She knew she was wrong. She got up and, gave him a hug, just tried to calm him down and say it's okay. And then I believe that's when she took him back to the trailer to cool off. This is in Hicksville. Yeah. Did you see Amber Heard consume any drugs or alcohol? I didn't see it. When you said you didn't see it, did you assume she was doing drugs and alcohol? I assumed she was drinking wine. Now, Amber's admitted that she took drugs. Craziness. Crazy. Kelly, good question. Why didn't Kelly testify? She was on the deposition list. Amber probably pulled the same thing. We're not going to call any of our witnesses that we don't want Johnny Depp's attorneys to question because I don't think they're really going to say what I want them to say. So they played games toward the end. L'Oreal. What did Katie tell you about the L'Oreal contract? That they had made the contract, that they really liked Amber. They were very supportive of her, They weren't going to be able to use her as much as they wanted to. They were, I believe, were going to renew the option, but they were going to postpone it. But they weren't going to raise any money on the option or future contracts until after the trial and all the publicity died down. I don't think she works for L'Oreal anymore. That's my speculation based on this statement here, this deposition. So what we expect her to appeal, she's filed two things. One is that the medical treatment, she wants her therapy notes in, and she wants to exclude Neumeister's testimony. So she's filed for that. So here's one that makes me sick. And we're seeing this, I'm going to debunk some of these. So we're seeing that Johnny edited his evidence. That's what they're claiming. Over a year ago, the court ordered Mr. Depp to produce all audio and video recordings that include Ms. Heard. The UK court also ordered Mr. Depp to produce all of these. Mr. Depp in declarations has submitted these. So where are the full recordings? Moreover, the metadata. So they're complaining about these snippets of recordings. Well, guess what? They didn't come for Johnny. They came from Amber Heard. Johnny was ordered to turn over the entire bundle of the UK, which he did. And in that bundle was the stuff Amber turned over to NGN. And she was the one who was giving snippets of video and audio that was cherry picked. And they were blaming Johnny, and it was their own client. I've been a hairstylist for over 15 years. I've never shared my opinion about the photo of Amber's hair. The handful of hair was even, and from each end. There's no way that hair was pulled out. I agree. And the question was, wouldn't there be roots? And that wasn't blood in her scalp. That was like a white, well, she called it pus. That's what she called it. I thought it was glue. You guys are doing awesome. You guys are doing awesome. I have a few other things. I think this is mostly debunking now. We saw that. We saw this. So she admitted to the fight in Australia was about the post-nup. Dr. Kipper testified Amber Heard became so distraught over leaving Johnny Depp's request for a prenup, or it was actually a postnup, she tried to leave a plane. Do you recognize, Dr. Kipper, this email chain between you and Connell Cowell? Yeah, I don't remember it, but I'm refreshing myself as I read it. He's a psychologist that I referred to Amber. Okay, on January 27th, you wrote to Mr. Cowan, Connell, sorry for getting back to you late. I'm swamped. Amber and Johnny have been fighting nonstop since he confirmed he needs a prenup on their way to the airport going to Japan to promote his movie. She tried to push up the date of the wedding to avoid all this. But the reality is he'll need a prenup. If she fails to sign, they can't get married. Both behaved like super triple DD types, complete with thrown coffee, attempts to storm the cockpit by him to turn the plane around, attempts for her to leave the plane while they were over the effing ocean, etc. That's what the text says. That's what the email says. Yeah. He didn't attempt to. He didn't submit the exhibits. Here it is. Miss Heard's motion to reserve should be at least partially denied, and the court should reserve its decision on the remaining issues until such time as the evidence, if any, is presented, which at this stage is believed unlikely on the most of the issues covered. Johnny Depp does not currently anticipate introducing evidence. Miss Heard's stint as a stripper, whatever. And it should be noted that Miss Heard has not cited any exhibits on Mr. Depp's exhibit list that relate to those issues. She was blowing it out of proportion. She was trying to do an end game run to make Johnny look bad to the judge. That's what she was doing. Same thing that happened in the UK. Let's villainize Johnny to the judge. And as far as these nudes, she sent them, remember? He reserves the right to use such materials to the extent that they become necessary on rebuttal. And in any event, trial is a fluid process, and these issues are at least potentially relevant and should be reserved in case, for instance, she claims new injuries, and this would show the lack of visible injuries. That's fair. Oh, this one was good. So they're fighting over Johnny's photos that they don't have the proper metadata, right? Manipulated photos of his injuries and altered metadata. Johnny didn't take these photos. They were sent to him for the UK case in 2019. That's why the metadata is off. The metadata reflects when he received them. but Sean testified to taking them, and so did the Raffles guy. Distraction. We know about the prenup. We know about Dr. Anderson. What else did this one have? He would have reported violence if he saw it. Lisa Bean was considered hearsay. So they're complaining that Lisa Bean's proves that Johnny harmed her. And in actuality, Lisa Bean heard it from Tinker Monker, who heard it from. So it was heard by so many people. It's hearsay. And it was testified that none of the medical people saw any abuse or injuries. If Miss Borum observed that Miss Heard had any physical injuries in this, is this something that would have been documented in her patient notes? Yes, absolutely. Did Miss Lloyd report to you that she witnessed Mr. Depp physically abuse Miss Heard? No, never. If there is any, Dr. Kipper, is there any ethical rules to report violence? If I were to see the violence, I would be obligated to. I would be obligated to make some reporting, but I never saw any violence. And you didn't report either Mr. Depp or Miss Heard, correct? Because you didn't see, your testimony is you didn't see any violence. We never saw violence between the two of them. You heard reports, but you never saw the testimony. You never saw this. Is that your testimony? He goes, correct, because Amber was self-reporting to Connell Cowan. The deposition testimony of Lisa Bean similarly reflects the lack of firsthand knowledge and merely claims to report second or third-hand descriptions of violence, stating that she was aware because she had been told. That's definitely the definition of hearsay. So this article comes out from the Daily Beast. Depp's legal team was somehow able to convince the court to exclude the jury from taking into account the testimony of Ellen Barkin, Dr. Spiegel, Miss Dawn Hughes, and Julian Eckert. But we know they all testified. What is this guy writing? This is the guy from the Daily Beast. None of these people were allowed to testify. Depp blocked them. They were all there. This is the disinformation, misinformation, outright lies that are being put out there. We talked about Dr. Collins already. Didn't say he was going to submit them. Frivolous lawsuit. This is a lot of my stuff, so we're good to go. He slams doors in her. They took testimony that Johnny was saying that Amber hit him in the head with the door, and they cut off their names and switched the roles and tried to claim that Amber was the one who was hit. That's how despicable these people are. Somebody's fat cat. How we doing? Getting toward the end, guys. There's not too many tweets left. We're under 2 hours still. I think L'Oreal are backing away quietly. I think based on that deposition, they said that you're on hold right now. We're not paying you, and we're going to wait till after the trial and see how the trial comes out. And obviously, it did not come out in her favor, so I can't imagine they'll be using her. I believe there was a petition against them. Oh yeah, there was a lot of tweets against them. Moving down. Whoop. Amber's insurance, her witness travel would have likely been paid for. It's possible. Yeah, if that's true, then where was Rocky and Io and Josh and her makeup artist? I just went blank on. Why did they come and testify for her? It wasn't going to cost them a dime. Good question. We talked about her. Again, according to the Daily Beast article, these guys didn't testify, and there they are. Kipper stated he would have reported violence if he saw it. Oh, good. We've got a lot of this covered already. Yay. Yes. So here we are with the audios. Remember, Lane Bradehoff is claiming that these audios that Johnny submitted were cherry-picked, and they want the whole audio. Let's see if we can read this better. Ms. Heard's complaints about particular documents are misguided. Mystifyingly, Ms. Heard asserts that Mr. Depp produced only selected excerpts of 2 audios that were produced under the Bates numbers, hurling false and wild accusations of willful attempt and demands for sanctions. Ms. Heard is wrong. It was the son, one of the defendants in the UK case, not Mr. Depp, which first produced the audio recordings to Mr. Depp's British counsel during the UK action. Presumably, the son obtained them from Ms. Heard. The audio recordings were then produced to by Mr. Depp as part of the trial bundles from the UK action sought by Ms. Heard. We produced the audio recordings in this case in the same version as Mr. Depp received them. blatant misrepresentation by Elaine, although her client may not have told her the truth. Again, there's no medical records being shown. It's just Amber Heard stating that. I'm glad I found that. Okay, so this is... I don't remember when this one was. This is the San Francisco argument that she wants to hug him. How gross is that? So shall we debunk this one real quick? Because we've done so much of it already. Depp wanted to submit her nudes. No, we clearly did not want to do that. Did want to submit the videotape, Whitney's reality show video showing that Whitney had bruises. Definitely wanted to submit that. Depp tries the use of Heard's friends against her. No, Whitney was questioned in deposition as discovery is supposed to. Why was your sister's license revoked? Was she involved in an accident? Did her friend die? Yes, her friend died, but it wasn't in our city. It was in a different city, and it affected her quite a bit. That's the friend who she talks about in her interviews. Missing text. Among the newly unsealed documents are exhibits of text message that Depp's assistant sent. It goes on to say Depp's law firm could not find any record of the text in Depp's iCloud and looked into whether they may have been, in their words, deleted. Why would they be in Johnny's iCloud? He didn't send the text. He didn't receive the text. It would be Heard. And Heard provided them in an oddly Excel spreadsheet or something. It didn't match the way all her other texts were found. I love this one. Heard walked away from millions. No. Amber Heard had a choice to have a negotiated settlement, cash up front, or wait years for a forensic audit like Brad and Angelina would take in years. She decided to go for a negotiated settlement. It was testified that Johnny was paid $24 million for Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Any later payments, residuals would have been after the divorce and would not be part of Community. She got her $7 million in cash. She got $7.5 million of debt paid off. There's $14.5 million right there. That's more than half the film. And on top of that, Johnny had to pay all the taxes, which Ed grossed up and suggested that he would have to pay about $30 million out of pocket for the settlement. Depp said he's not alleging harm. This is important. He's not alleging harm. We spent many hours of trial trying to paint Heard as the abuser in the relationship. So he was saying that she caused these injuries to me, but his legal claim was defamation. His legal claim was not abuse. His legal claim was not intentional or negligent infliction of emotional distress. That's why she couldn't get the IME. That's what they're arguing here. My claim is you defamed me. My claim is you lied about me. Yes, you did these other terrible things to me, but they're more than 2 years old. They're not for the jury to decide. The jury is here to decide, did you lie about me? Were Depp's photos and audio subject to manipulation? Depp's photos were not taken by his phone. They were taken by Sean's phone and maybe somebody else and sent to him for the UK trial, thus the late dates. Audio, well, we just went over that. We know that it was Amber Heard who cherry-picked those. Russian bots, oh my God, poor Adam. So what? He had a Russian client, so we're all now dealing with Russian bots. And the judge said, no, we're not gonna use that. Among unsealed court documents in the counterclaim, in response to Ms. Heard team's demand that please describe in detail each and every incident during which you contend that Ms. Heard inflicted any type of physical or emotional violence on you. They further objects that Depp's team further objects to this interrogatory as it's unlikely to lead to the discovery of admissible evidence and that it seeks documents and communications that are irrelevant, immaterial, or unnecessary to the issues of this action. They kept bringing up Marilyn Manson. They were trying to do guilt by association. Let's just keep bringing up his name. And if people don't like Marilyn, they'll assume Johnny's a bad person. That's ridiculous. They brought in texts that had nothing to do with Johnny. They're probably going to hurt Manson more than they would hurt Johnny. Fought to exclude. His original article said they did exclude him, and he got called out on it. I think that's it. That's it for that one. So here's the case, the trial, and the trial exhibits are still there. Anything you might want to go back and look at. Again, a lot of these documents were available. Woo! I did it. An hour and 50 minutes. And I can take questions. I hope I've debunked a lot of stuff and also brought you a lot of new stuff. A lot to take in. Well, there's 6,600 pages, so there's going to be. What I'm going to do is go back over time and start cherry picking things. I mean, the trial's over. Nothing's going to change. We'll just have to be patient for the information because I'm going bunk-eyed with my, I mean, I can barely think straight or see straight. My eyes feel so dry and swollen. Let me just go back to me. And I'm going to start backwards and start answering questions if I can. I hope this made, hope this helped. What was this? She's blonde and in UK trial. Her hair was thin and fragile, easy to cut without noticing the scalp. By the way, I'm from Quebec. Yeah, he was brought in for shock value. And those texts, oh my God, they're twisting the text. So they're going back and forth, and Manson's like, I had this meet and greet, and I met this really pretty girl. Big deal. But before that, Johnny goes, what do you want to play? We're going to play together, Hollywood Vamps. What song do you want to play? And Manson answers, I met this really nice girl at a meet and greet. And then he spaces down. He goes, I'll do 18. That's the song. He played 18. It's known. You can Google it. And they're trying to conflate that somehow he was trying to set up a threesome with an 18-year-old with Johnny. I mean, that's what they're trying to claim. It's insane. Guilt by association. Yep. Smear campaign. All of these are. Is she off? Well, they didn't pick up her option. I think that's the last thing we heard, and they were going to wait till after the trial. And that's the last testimony we heard. I will be on playback. It will be there. This daily beast makes me absolutely sick, lying, incompetent pigs. He blocked me as soon as I correct him. Then he went and corrected part of his article. And then he started complaining about me and Tug and Brian that were hacks and not real journalists. And what my answer was? This is my answer in my room. I have researched everything. I've pulled court documents from Virginia, from 3 courts in California, from the UK, from Washington, D.C., from Virginia, from New York City. No other journalist has touched all those courts to get documents, not one. I attended phone hearings for the UK. I didn't go to the UK, but I was on hearing calls. I was on hearing calls in D.C. No other journalist did that. I was very consistent in researching. And yes, I reached out on occasion and asked questions. That's what journalists are supposed to do. So I don't know why he's trying to call me a troll and not to be believed. I have listened to the audios a few times. I'm amazed how many times I've yelled, say something, Johnny, say something, damn it, because it was already out there and he knew it was pointless. Yeah, she never claimed that he abused her, hit her, but she admitted to it multiple times. And what we needed Johnny to say was, I didn't do this. I didn't do that. But that's not what they were talking about. They were talking about hurting feelings, not physically hurting. It was a mental claim, so misleading. It wasn't a mental claim. Exactly. It was a defamation claim, which means she was not entitled to perform an IME on him. She said, you made me suffer PTSD. Bingo. You put your health at issue, mental health at issue. Now you got to talk to Dr. Cray. I also noticed that Amber goes silent when Depp asks, do you think you're an abuser, before going into another vague direction? Oh, yeah. It's like, you're asking me? Do I think? I mean, it's like she was stalling for time, how she's going to answer that. Because it's coming out of court. And that's what his global annihilation was. If you make us go to court on this, I'm going to have to defend myself. I'm going to have witnesses tell them what you did to me. That was the global annihilation, the humiliation. You're putting us through this by falsely accusing me. I need to sue H for undue stress PTSD. Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it. I'm such lack of sleep right now. I wish Johnny could support you back, but then it would be considered a payoff. Absolutely. Absolutely. He knows that. I mean, I don't talk to him. I've never met him. But no, Adam's never paid me anything. Adam has never, ever provided me with anything that I'm tweeting about. I've found all this on my own. Yeah, all on my own. I hate to say this, but long ago, my PR side came out, and I said, if none of the YouTube folks who have done such amazing work like me and Tug and Brian speak to the press, that they will turn on them. I don't know. The press is going after them. They're not coming after me yet. I'm a little fish. I also want to say, watching you watch the verdict on Popcorn Plan was very moving. This case means a lot to many people, and I'm glad there was at least some closure for all of us involved. Yeah. I mean, I was riveted. And every time I heard yes, yes, I was amazed. It was amazing. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you all. I'm reading fast and I'm forgetting to say thank you, and that's so rude of me. What was Gina going to testify about? I think she was going to testify to the fact that she never saw any violence between the two of them. She saw her act badly at times. She's not in a fear of Johnny to this day. They're very good friends. They're very close. He's very sweet and kind. And I think she was just trying to say Johnny does not match in any way, shape, or form Amber Heard's description of him, because they travel with him. They see him a lot. And I think Amber knew that and needed to get her off the stand any way she could. Mainstream media is at its lowest point for people's trust. You would think they would report the truth. They would get more clicks if they reported the truth at this point. Amber Heard lied. Denounce her. She is not a spokesperson for victims. She's the worst case scenario, and so many victims are stepping out and saying that, and survivors. I don't know why they're still dragging him now like a trial never happened, because all these motions are so old. He won. She lied. Deal with it. Accept it. Why weren't the accusations about Johnny's personal health redacted? Seems like a dirty trick from Elaine. Yes, it was. But these were sealed. And this is where I think Ben made a mistake. At the final verdict hearing, he said, fine, unseal them. And Elaine knew there's stuff in there that she needed to cover up. She may not have remembered all of it, but she was like, oh, no. There's some personal medical. I need files. So she filed in 22 documents stayed sealed. And Ben should have filed to keep some things sealed or redacted. And I guess he just forgot they were in there because they didn't come from his motions. They came from Elaine's motions. Sorry. I like how you break it down. Thanks so much, Laurie, and I appreciate your help. She's one of my mods. They should have been redacted. All these unsealed docs and exhibits are like an archaeology site. I think there's lots of interesting history still to be found. Can't wait for how this unfolds. I agree. Let me tell you about when I first started getting documents, and this is my personal experience, and I really struggled with this. I was first getting documents from TMG, and they were full of such scathing, horrible claims, and I was paying for the documents, and they ended up being very expensive over time. I paid for a lot of documents, and then same with California for this case. But after paying for them and reading them, and it wasn't that I was trying to cherry pick or be biased, but I was trying to remember this is a real person and that this stuff shouldn't always be put out, that we should take some responsibility and accountability, because nobody else is going to get those documents but, well, me and Andrea and Tug, and I think Andy's gotten some documents. I know Tug has for sure. So we take great responsibility, and a lot of people wanted to, in the beginning, let me pay for the documents. Well, then I started to think I'd feel a real responsibility to put the documents out in full, even though they were just such full of horrible false accusations. They were unmerited, unsubstantiated, and the judge ultimately so I made the right decision, kicked out 85 paragraphs, kicked out the most salacious, awful things. And I was so glad I ended up making that decision, because in the end, they were booted. So I really struggled when this one came out so fast that we didn't get to review it or watermark it. But good on Andrea. You know, she raised the money and she put it out there for the public, because as a lawyer, she's more interested in our FOI Act here in the United States, our freedom of information. So she put it out there. It was unsealed. She put it out there. And based on the unsealing documents where we saw Amber say contains more personal medical information, for example, we expected that to be redacted in Johnny's. At least we had hoped. And sadly, it wasn't. I love to see Andy cough up money. He says he will, and some of them does. No, he put money into this. He definitely donated. I did. Yeah, he for sure did. I know that for a fact. It was strange after so many years, but there are pointers, but I never read them right. Lost me. His medical records should have been excluded. And yeah, that was up to Ben to go back and go, wait, before we unseal these, let me double check and make sure there's nothing in here. And sadly, there was. Yeah, there's a new blonde. There was a new blonde not too long ago that some people thought it was her, and it wasn't her. And that was a while ago. If he had waited for her to sign the prenup, he would have had to go through all this. Yeah, well, the heart wants what the heart wants. He was obviously in love with her. He was obviously very much in love with her. Yeah, you can't fault him for that. I'm at 2 hours, and I try to keep you guys at 2 hours. So if you want to shoot me some questions here at the end, I will, instead of me scrolling up, I'll do them really quick. Thank you for your hard work. I finally made a live stream. It was late coming, but I made it. Nice. I will go check you out. Probably not this afternoon. I'm a little burnt out. I'm going cross-eyed. My eyes are so swollen. Question, is JD cabinet video from when JD found out his fiance, his finance people had sold money from him? Absolutely, that's when it happened. Some say it's when his mom died. No, it's from when he found out, I think he was going to have to sell a boat. I think that's how bad it was when he found out. They were having that come to Jesus talk with him, and they wanted him to sell the yacht. Who, by the way, confirmed in the documents he did sell it to J.K. Rowling for a massive profit. So yay on him. Yay on him. Yeah, those prescriptions, I will just tell you one thing. They do cover multiple diagnoses. Look at me, I'm dying here now. One of them is for shingles. And I found it interesting, you know, the way Amber rambles on and on and on for pity. On the stand, I was tired. I was losing weight. I had insomnia. I had shingles. She was pretty young to have shingles. And shingles, with all the stress in Johnny's age, I could see that it's possible that he had shingles and she stole it from him. And at the time, he didn't think twice about it because he had no idea this was going to come out later on. Yeah. Question, do you think the crowdfunding and releasing of the docs has done more harm than good, or was it just more ammo? I think it's just more ammo. They just want more clicks. They're making a fortune off of, remember, click is advertising. The advertisers are paying for them. And as long as their articles getting clicked on, they're getting paid. They don't care if it's true. They don't care if it's pro Amber, honestly, or pro Johnny. It's just meat that they know that people are going to go after. And there is something called, what's it called? Where you put out media that you know you're going to create both sides arguments, because both sides will comment and retweet your article. They're like, yay, look what he's saying. And another side will comment and retweet the bad part of it. So you're guaranteed massive traffic if you write articles that you know are going to have massive opposition activity. And that's what's happening. We're all commenting and retweeting, stop this, you're lying, you're getting this wrong. And they're commenting and retweeting, see, apologize to turd. Time for everybody to apologize. Did it harm him? The trial's over, and he won, and it's like everyone's forgetting the trial happened now because of this, and this is old news. So I'm sad it's come out. It's a massive distraction for all the good that's happened for him. So that's That's what I would say. I don't think we expected the personal medical stuff to not be there. I'm in the minority. Don't like that show. Listening to Steph was like nails on a chalkboard. Good person, irritating voice. Okay. That's everyone, her opinion. I was in lust with her because the woman he thought she was never existed. Yeah. You're all in my head. Andy's from Popcorn Channel. I really like him. I enjoy when he has me on. I think we have good interactions, and he promotes my channel, so I really like him. And he also was one of the ones wanting to help get these articles, papers unsealed. See, I'm tired. I was worried when something happened like that, when I heard Andrea was getting the documents. I think people got caught up in the momentum and excitement, and nobody wanted to, 6,000 pages takes us a while to go through, and nobody wanted to take a deep breath and say, let me review them and before I put them out. And I'm not saying anything against Andrea. It just happened so fast, and the excitement was there. And I had been doing this for so long that maybe I had a little bit more experience. I think that's the difference. Nothing against Andrea. I don't want that misconstrued. How are we doing? I think, are we good? Yes, I do have a PayPal. It's in my about link. I try and put it in descriptions when I remember. I think I'm going to close it out. We're a little over 2 hours. Let me remind you what's been going on. I'm doing the deep dive series on the insurance. There's a lot of tea in there. Amber Heard's insurance companies are suing each other, which is really interesting to read. But damn it, she got all her insurance, all her defense was paid for out of her pocket. And because it was defense, her insurance covered it. Johnny's is offense, plaintiff, and he would not have had that kind of coverage. They are both appealing. They both filed the notion to appeal. Neither one has filed the judgment bond, the suspension bond. So either one could go after each other to start collecting. Somebody asked me the other question. Johnny still owns several suites or homes in California. He still owns his island, and he still has his hamlet in France. I don't know why that came up. So yeah, playlist, my playlist. I really do organize things pretty well, and I appreciate you checking them out. A lot of them are in a type of format that you don't have to sit and stare at the screen. You can walk around and listen. I appreciate you liking, sharing, and commenting, and hit that notification bell. I'm a new channel, still growing, and I'm very much appreciate you all. An article said he sold it for $75 million. What would that be? I think at one point the hamlet went up for sale during the divorce, but he did not sell it. I think it was a provision in the settlement that you're going to pay me over time unless you sell the property. So I think he just had to list it for some crazy number, but he did not sell it. He did sell the yacht. That's been confirmed. And he made profit on it, which I thought was pretty awesome. Well done. Thank you. I think I got all my super chats. Thank you very much to everyone. This was a little different for me jumping around with the screens. I'm getting a better hang of changing and sharing. But I am now going to say good night. And I very much appreciate you all, and big kudos and claps to my mods. I didn't see any issues. I think we're doing pretty good on that. But I am going to say goodbye now. Night, night, and thanks for coming.